In the ferocious and unforgiving depths of the vast ocean, the laws of survival are often equated with ceaseless swimming, brutal tearing, and a blind chase after light. Yet, when one journeys past the limits that sunlight can reach and arrives at the deep-sea seal of the 10,000-meter mud bed, an abyss of near absolute zero and dense, twilight high pressure, a certain creature makes the most counterintuitive choice, actively treading toward the most desolate, lonely sanctuary of silence. Tonight, accompanied by the gently flickering hearth and this story you need not effortfully remember, let us step into her true life. This female giant octopus crouches quietly inside a dim, rocky reef dead end formed by a thick mud bed, thousands of meters beneath the surface, peacefully closing her eyes amidst the muffled roars of deep-sea tides insulated by water pressure. The outside world is accustomed to gazing upon their power and stealth as masters of camouflage among shallow-water coral reefs, but few truly understand that this seemingly omnipotent being is placing herself in a years-long ordeal of life and death, tasting neither food nor water. The deep-sea haven she has carved out faces an abyssal hell of near-absolute zero outside, cold enough to shatter bones in an instant, yet inside, relying solely on her rise and fall of breath, she preserves a miraculous temperature hovering close to the spark of life. To nurture a new hope within this barren, pitch-black world, the maternal body, throughout a long evolutionary epoch, surrendered her vast hunting grounds and dialed her metabolism down to life's lowest spark, all to safeguard an ultimate maternal attachment. This is no tragedy of passive escape, but a serene epic of life written upon the fluid mud bed by a stoic solitary sentinel in the deep ocean wastes, using a lifetime of forbearance, maternal love, and restraint. Now, please let your breath lengthen and slow down with the rhythmic, low murmur of currents beside the giant octopus, and immerse yourself in this midnight dream gently enveloped by 10,000 meters of crushing pressure. When the last glint of faint deep-sea light vanishes entirely from the desolate mud bed, the freezing currents, laden with fine sediment, begin to rampage silently across the boundless abyss. At this hour, when most shallow-water creatures attempt to shrink back into reefs out of dread for the dark or collapse into desperate sleep, the giant octopus's day commences in extreme quietude and alertness. She slowly shifts her massive frame from the ancient shadows of the abandoned reef. Within those large, gentle black eyes unique to the deep ocean, there is a concentration she can never discard for life. To comprehend this focus, we must first confront her strict physiological ledger that offers no retreat. This is the turning point of her life and the first rift of destiny she must cross alone. At this moment, thousands of fragile eggs are quickening within her body, but upon the exceptionally barren mud of the deep floor, traditional hunting turns immensely difficult and volatile, and continuing to roam the open currents means a colossal drain of energy. To protect the unhatched crystals beneath her, the maternal body must find an absolute sanctuary for herself and her brood before her energy is spent completely. Halting before a deep, leeward reef, she begins to clear the surrounding silt outward, stroke by stroke, with her thick, powerful arms lined with countless suckers. This is an immensely long and physically taxing ordeal. The shifting currents threaten to bury her freshly cleared traces instantly, yet her movements display not a hint of haste. Each sweep of her arms is deliberate, filled with anatomical precision. She clears out a circular hollow downward along the rock, and at its terminal end, settles her massive flesh, carving out a perfect cloistered den. The ingenious mastery of this den lies in its elevation, which skillfully blocks the rushing cold currents outside, the faint body heat and respiratory water circulation she releases are locked beneath the canopy of her arms, while the cold water is kept isolated outside. As she uses her final few arms to fashion a defensive line from surrounding rubble, leaving only a microscopic crevice to sustain breathing, she seals herself off with her own hands from that ferocious, frigid, and slaughter-filled outer world. Within this narrow universe forged from dim mud, time seems to instantly lose all its sharp edges, transforming into a tranquil river flowing so slowly it almost grinds to a complete halt. Yet, within this isolated deep-sea haven, the price of life paid by the giant octopus mother is an ordeal of physiological extremes unimaged by the outside world. While the world outside endures the endless night of the 10,000-meter sea floor and the crushing pressure wrenches muffled groans from the surrounding water, the maternal body inside the mud bed has slowly settled down, curling her massive frame into a gentle protective shield. From this moment onward, through a long span of years or even thousands of days, she will taste no food, log no data of drinking water to replenish heat, and even superfluous swimming will cease entirely. In examining this unique brooding state of the giant octopus, the scientific community discovered with shock that it differs fundamentally from ordinary shallow-water octopuses. While common octopuses undergo a hatching period of just a few short months, the exceptionally low deep-sea temperatures slow cellular division to a crawl, forcing these eggs to span several years to hatch. This means that, without a single scrap of external energy replenishment, her body must function like a precise furnace operating at minimum output yet unable to extinguish its spark for a single second, relying entirely on burning the thick body tissues hoarded during her mature years. Through complex biochemical pathways, her internal cells are melted into a steady stream of heat, water, and vital kinetic energy needed to sustain respiration, while metabolic wastes are reabsorbed and reorganized in a wondrous loop within her flesh, leaving behind not a trace of waste. Entering accounts into the ledger, this ultimate discipline over energy and precision management coaxes the mother's brain into a state akin to meditative serenity. Her heart rate slows, and the beating of her 3 hearts becomes immensely long and steady. She has no need to ponder the shifting of currents, as nature outlines no plans to alter hunting routines, nor does she need to comprehend when the dark will pass. She only needs to lie here silently, using her raw flesh as a shield against the freezing torrent outside the den that is capable of annihilating all life. Amidst this intense solitude and numbness, she transforms scarcity into abundance and cold into security, anchoring an unbreakable fortress of maternal tenderness in the deepest recesses of the mud bed, right within the quiet span where the deep sea is at its heaviest and darkness seems as though it will never lift. This sealed rocky den welcomes the most moving climax in the epic of life amidst a flurry of exceedingly faint vibrations, resembling the stirring of fluid particles. Thousands of frail giant octopus hatchlings are born quietly into the boundless dark. They are so tiny and helpless that it is difficult to link them with the future behemoths of the deep wastes, possessing arms spanning several meters. A newborn hatchling is merely the size of a human fingernail. Their semi-translucent bodies glimmer within the faint bioluminescence, devoid of any capacity to ward off foes or care for themselves. If they were exposed outside the den for even a single second at this time, the icy currents would instantly sweep these delicate lives into the bottomless abyss, turning them into shards of seabed sediment. In this most fragile juncture of life, the giant octopus mother displays an inspiring delicacy and restraint. With immense slowness and profound gentleness, she shifts her colossal arms, coaxing these tiny lives softly into the deep sanctuary of her embrace with her suckers. Using her broad, warm, mucus-laden flesh filled with her final sparks of life, she wraps the eggs and larvae completely, constructing the safest fluid greenhouse in the world with her own respiratory water currents. Immediately following this, the alchemy sustained within her frame for years hits its most sublime peak. In a state of tasting neither food nor drink, her body tissues have withered to the translucent limit, yet her arms still instinctively sway in alternation, gently fanning silt away from the eggs and bringing fresh oxygen. This exceptionally pure respiratory current is the sole lifesaver for the little ones in the pitch black. They absorb it greedily, every quiver transmuting into sustenance for the growth of soft tissue and nerves. Through the subsequent months, the only melody within the narrow den is the rhythmic pulsing of the young and the deep, raspy respiration of the mother's siphon. These two sounds intertwine and echo within the small hollow, softening into a perfect midnight lullaby. The mother uses her own flesh and life as fuel, igniting a torch beneath the 10,000-meter mud bed that never goes out, passing this survival code down silently through generations for thousands of years. Yet, this lineage of life, staking all survival chips entirely upon a deep-sea sanctuary, must confront a brutal transformation of destiny the exact moment the young mature without warning. When the final cycle brings the first glimmer of light from an unknown bioluminescence, filtering faint blue-green rays through the edge of the den and casting a hazy, soft warmth across the mother's skin, she knows the hour of departure has come. The schools of giant octopus young now possess the capacity to drift and forage independently in the deep. Their semi-translucent bodies gleam with clarity and curiosity toward the unknown world. The mother rises, her muscular tissues, unextended for years, releasing a hollow, tearing sensation. Her internal fat and energy stores are completely spent, her weight slashed precisely by 2/3. The entire octopus appears gaunt, pale, and powerless, save for those eyes that remain serene and unyielding. Uncoiling the arms blocking the opening, she pushes the water outward forcefully one last time. As the final obstructing stones roll away, the long-lost deep-sea free fluid, like a razor-sharp silver broadsword, instantly pierces the years-long confinement, shooting straight into the depths of the den. That flash of movement forces the mother and her young, accustomed to stillness, to feel the pull of fate simultaneously. And when the young glide out of the fluid greenhouse along the gentle water ripples to stand once more upon the boundless deep wastes, the brutal veil of destiny is truly lifted. The world outside is no longer the landscape of their birth, due to periodic hydrothermal vent eruptions and the phantom diving of modern commercial fishing machinery. The once silent, level mud bed is enduring an unseen disruption, morphing into a scattering of volatile, unknown territories. The young puff water and glide excitedly through the chilly current, utterly unable to comprehend the profound farewell and heaviness in their mother's gaze, oblivious that she has hand-stepped toward her own life's end to secure this moment. After the young vanish completely into the terminal end of the bottomless abyss, this focal giant octopus, having burned through her final sparks of life, lies quietly upon the hollowed-out mud bed she guarded for years. Her skin begins to grow as fragile and pale as parchment, even dissolving and weathering silently under the gentle stroking of the currents, dissolving into that ancient sand. People in the outside world frequently praise their cunning and versatility as high-intelligence beings in shallow water exploration, mistakenly believing them to be cold-blooded ocean anomalies. Yet, few witness their disheveled desperation beneath a 10,000-meter chasm, using their raw flesh to block absolute zero to protect their young. Still fewer comprehend their years-long, flesh-consuming, voiceless vigil in the deep night wastes. They lack advanced language to recount this trial to the world, nor do they possess extra weapons to battle the decay of life. Their sole armor is that icy haven woven from their own arms and rocky reefs. Under this extreme concentration upon lineage and restraint, time seems to lose its past sharp edge upon their bodies, no longer a monster hounding life to sprint forward. Currents shift and eras turn, while they merely follow the ancient contract quietly, igniting the lone glimmer upon the abyss with maternal love during every deep-sea night when high pressure howls. This blind vigil, this unreserved surrender to life, may appear poignant under the brutal laws of natural selection, but within the vast epic of the universe, it commands an unrivaled dignity of life. She uses her entire existence to prove to this cold, volatile world that true security is never dictated by how ferocious the external storm rages, but by whether you can construct an unextinguishable, warm nest for the ones you love in the deepest sanctuary of your heart. At midnight, the 10,000-meter mud bed gradually reclaims its primal peace, that roar of new lives hatching and an old life dissolving long vanished into the lengthy river of time. The gorgeous, hazy deep-sea bioluminescence, like a silken ribbon, flows tenderly through the deep water columns, sprinkling a faint, soothing glimmer upon the boundless, silent floor. The giant octopus, having weathered the 1,000-day ordeal, the hatching trial, and the final farewell, has now fully transformed into a part of this mud bed, her flesh nourishing fresh microscopic life, her spirit slumbering peacefully in the ethereal currents. In the prologue, we sought to uncover the riddle of destiny behind its abyssal stillness. Now, having listened to this chronicle of high-pressure insulation, flesh autolysis, and silent vigil, those mysteries have found their answers within the white noise of the tides. It has left no eternal structures upon the earth, nor carved brilliant triumphs into history. What it leaves to these wastes are merely those gentle echoes of life expanding beneath the currents, vanishing yet reappearing every single reproductive cycle. Listening to the faint wind outside your window, a white noise like the long night currents across the polar abyss, and watching the final, faint, introverted glow of the hearth fire in your room, has the fatigue within your body finally found its safe haven? Be like that creature beneath the freezing water, cradling her young tightly in her embrace. On this night that requires nothing of your wakefulness, requiring you to battle no external high pressure alone, gently lay down all thoughts of gains, losses, anxieties, and tomorrows. Let your body settle slowly with the warmth of your bed, and let your mind dissolve completely into that pool of dreams, devoid of cold, containing only absolute sanctuary. Along with this story you need not effortfully remember. The night is far spent, and the abyss has hushed into silence. May you be accompanied by this art of solitude across thousands of years. Rest peacefully, have a beautiful dream, and good night.